to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still, that's the motto, yeah. Brand new bands for the auto, oh. Foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Ball full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it outbid. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't never do it, okay, how's this? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Okay. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way, the snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
Man, I hope you all are as pumped up as I am after watching that. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining our Copilot for Microsoft 365 webinar. My name is Tommy Doctor, and I'm a Microsoft Technology Advisor here at Opkalla. Today, we will be joined by Rachel Berry, who is the Microsoft Solutions Specialist at Opkalla, and Corey Arant, who is the Microsoft Practice Director at Opkalla. So here's what we will be covering today. I'll start with a brief introduction to Opkalla. Then I'll be passing it off to Rachel, who will discuss why to use Copilot for Microsoft 365 and how it works within the different Microsoft apps. Finally, Corey will go through security and compliance controls for Copilot and what's next to prepare for becoming AI ready. And then we'll have some time at the end to answer any questions. So feel free to drop those questions in throughout the presentation, and we'll get those answered at the end. Here's a little introduction to Opkalla for those who don't know. We work with over 500 organizations across various industries, providing expert, unbiased guidance on technology solutions. Really, our goal is to help you align technology with your business objectives, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever-evolving digital world. So where we engage, here's a really good snapshot of the key areas where we engage with our clients. We help you identify the parts of your technology environment that could benefit from optimization. So whether it's cloud management, security, or ensuring your team has the right tools for effective collaboration, we work with you to find the gaps and ensure your tech strategy aligns with your business goals. Today's focus, as you can see that little circle, we're going to focus on a very important technology strategy, Microsoft 365 for Business, specifically Copilot. Whether you're working in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, or Teams, Copilot can help provide insights, draft content, analyze data, and really so much more. In this session, we'll show you how you can use Copilot to save time and work more efficiently. So a little bit more about Opkalla and our Microsoft Cloud Solutions. We are a Microsoft Direct Cloud Solutions provider, or a CSP. Our goal is to support you every step of the way on your digital transformation journey. So to demonstrate our expertise in Microsoft 365, we went ahead and earned the Solution Partner for Modern Work designation and the Adoption and Change Management specialization. So when you work with Opkalla as your CSP, here's some bullets of what you can expect. You'll have one central place for license management. With the Opkalla Microsoft portal, you can purchase new services, you can manage quantities, you can view invoices, and even use the new 24/7 AI chatbot, Spark AI, to get immediate answers. You'll have access to premium support at no extra costs, including submitting tickets to Microsoft on your behalf, and an escalation path with our Partner Success Account Manager. The new commerce experience gives you more flexibility within your contracts, offering terms like month-to-month, annual bill monthly, or annual bill upfront. You'll also benefit from our discounted rates and optimization recommendations, which is going to reduce your licensing costs. Our professional services team will provide full implementation support and staff training to ensure smooth onboarding. And then if you ever have any questions at all, you can simply email support@opkalla.com, and our in-house support team will respond within one business day guaranteed. And using tools like Microsoft 365 Lighthouse, we'll proactively monitor your Microsoft footprint, providing alerts and insights into platform efficiencies and security for ongoing analysis and strategy. So now that we covered how Opkalla can support you, I'll hand it over to Rachel. She'll walk us through why Copilot is such a powerful tool for your business. Rachel, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tommy. And good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. So now that you guys have learned a bit more about Opkalla and who we are, today I wanted to share with you guys, what are some of the benefits, or what are some of the feedback that we have been hearing from customers on why you should use Copilot for Microsoft 365. Now, as leaders and organizations, we know that when it comes to making changes and overall overcoming AI shiftlessness, there has been some back and forth on if you should move to Copilot. Now, what Microsoft has done along with LinkedIn, they have actually looked on how AI has reshaped work and the labor market on a whole. And by doing so, they have surveyed 31,000 people across 31 countries and identifying labor and hiring trends from LinkedIn, as well as analyzing trillions of Microsoft 365 productivity signals, as well as research from Fortune 500 companies. Because when Copilot was initially rolled out, it was rolled out to some of the enterprise companies. So they were the first few users who got to test out Copilot. So we'll be sharing some feedback that we have gathered based on those users and just overall data points to insights that every leader and professional needs to know when it comes to actioning Copilot and overall using those AI tools at work, such as Copilot for Microsoft 365. All right, now based on the data from the 2024 Work Trend Index annual report, so this is the annual report that is done for 31,000 persons over 31 countries. And what they have shared is that employees want AI at work. And that's one of the main reasons why a lot of organizations right now are using Copilot. So as you can see here, 75% of knowledge workers use AI at work. Now, as knowledge workers, we know that there is a lot of data, when it comes to finding Word documents, PowerPoint documents, checking emails. There's a lot of information. And of course, it's really hard sometimes to really find the information when you need it within a quick time frame. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of knowledge workers right now are using AI, because it allows them to find information a lot quickly, as well as be able to create emails a lot quicker, create presentations a lot quicker, be able to formulate tables in Excel a lot quicker. So in the last 6 months, based on the usage, there was around 46% of users that started using AI. And as you can see here, it has almost doubled in less than 6 months, right? So we have seen a drastic change and overall a drastic shift in the use of AI within the workplace. And what we wanted to share with you guys is that there are a lot of users right now who say that AI has helped them save time. And as you can see here, that's 90% of users that have used Copilot have said that it has helped them to save time. All right, save time sending emails, save time drafting Word documents, save time creating presentations from scratch, save time from creating tables and formulas in Excel. So we want you guys to understand why some of the users right now are using AI. And based on this data, this is just an analysis of why employees right now want AI at work. All right, and just a quick note as well, this is the source as to where this data came from. So if you guys would like to take a look at that, feel free to go to the 2024 Work Trend Index annual report, and then you'll be able to see that data there. All right, now let's talk about from a leader's perspective, because of course we know employees, we all want to lessen the workload. We all want to find a way to make our job easier. Right now, from a leadership standpoint, most leaders agree that AI is a business necessity, and they are really looking forward for a way forward. So based on this data, as you can see here, even though a lot of leaders right now are looking for a way forward, 60% of leaders worry that their organization's leadership lacks a plan and a vision to implement AI. And that's one of the reasons as well why some leaders right now are are not yet using Copilot for Microsoft 365. So what we want to do is help you guys with implementing the plan and have a clear vision on implementing AI. So if you are looking to start using Copilot for the first time within your organization, Opkalla can help you with that. So we can help you to alleviate that worry and help you to have that confidence in moving forward in using Copilot for Microsoft 365. Now, based on the leaders that are actually using AI within their organization, they agree that their company needs to adopt AI to stay competitive. Now, as we know, when it comes to the market, there are, other competitors out there, and we want you guys to be able to, differentiate yourself, be that company that stands out. So with using Copilot, this actually helps your employees in being a lot more productive. So for example, let's say there's a client that needs assistance with something. How you can stay competitive is, by responding quickly, because once you provide a quick response, this helps them to, feel that they're being supported, feel that you have their best needs at heart. So with using AI or Copilot specifically within your organization, this allows you to stay on top of the game. This allows you to be able to close leads a lot quicker, helps you to be able to, understand your customers and be able to address their needs within a quick time frame. All right, now with Copilot for Microsoft 365, it honestly frees your mind from the tools and repetitive tasks, so you can spend more time focused on what matters most. And you may be wondering, what really matters most to an organization? These are some of the things: running your business, growing your customer base, building your brand, and scaling securely. So what this really means for you is that you'll be able to serve your customers better and respond quickly with Copilot in Outlook. You'll also be able to land more deals and grow your customer base using Copilot in Teams. You'll also be able to build your brand more effectively and creatively with Copilot in Word and Copilot in PowerPoint. And then, of course, you'll also be able to think faster with Copilot in Excel. All right, now let's go ahead and see this in action. So I will be providing you guys with a few demos on how Copilot works in the different Microsoft 365 apps. So let's go ahead and take a look at how does Copilot work in the different Microsoft 365 apps. All right, now first off, I just wanted to provide an overview of how Copilot really works. So as you can see here, it works alongside you. So basically it's your own Copilot, and it is embedded in the apps millions of people use every day, such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and much more, because of course Copilot is also being rolled out in other Microsoft 365 apps, such as Dynamics 365 for sales, for commerce. But of course, today's core objective is to show you guys how Copilot works in the Microsoft 365 apps. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you can be more creative in Word, how you can be more analytic in Excel, how you can be more expressive in PowerPoint, as well as how you can be more productive in Outlook and more collaborative in Teams. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up our demos for today, and we're going to start off with Teams meeting. And just a quick note as well, we will be sending you guys these demo links after today's webinar. So feel free to go ahead and demo it yourself, just so that you could get that hands-on experience on how Copilot works. And when you're ready to start implementing that within your organization, then Opkalla will be happy to assist. Right. Great. All right, so just ensure that we are all good to go. Are you all seeing the demo? So I want to ensure that we have a smooth demo session today. So let me know if we're all good.
We got the desktop for you there, Rachel, so I think we're ready to roll.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Corey. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our demo today in Copilot in Teams meetings. Now, today's scenario is based on an employee by the name of Lee, and they're basically going to be, joining a meeting just to, understand what exactly the meeting is about. Let's say, for example, they are multitasking and, they won't be able to focus on this meeting. Today, we're going to see how Copilot can help you guys in being able to recap meetings as well as provide suggestions, where it's needed. So first, let's go ahead and open up Teams. All right, and once you're in Teams, then of course you'd go ahead and join that meeting. So let's join the supplier sync parts recall. All right, join now. All right, so now that we're in the meeting, Lee uses Copilot in meetings or calls to summarize conversations as well as to answer questions. All right, now Microsoft Copilot knows that he is running a bit late. And to be honest, in this industry, it happens a lot where some meetings may go over and you may join another meeting a few minutes late. Now, what Lee can do in Copilot for Teams is that he will be able to actually recap the meeting. So let's open up Copilot. And let's input the prompt to recap meetings so far. And as you can see here, Copilot has recapped all the key topics based on what have been discussed so far. So even though Lee was running a bit behind, he's able to catch up on what exactly has been discussed and be ready to ask any questions or suggest any recommendations within that meeting. All right, now let's say he wants to be able to suggest follow-up questions. So he will input that prompt, suggest follow-up questions. All right, and as you can see here, these are some questions that Copilot have put together for Lee to be able to ask in that meeting. So though he was not a part of the full meeting, he is able to understand what exactly have been discussed, as well as he'll be able to generate questions to be able to ask in that meeting as well. All right, so that's an example of how Copilot works in Teams meeting. Now, just a quick note, I do want to plug in here as well that there is also another feature known as Intelligent Recap. This is included in Teams Premium, which is an add-on to Teams. However, with Intelligent Recap, it really just focuses on Teams meetings versus Copilot. This works with your different Microsoft 365 apps, so not just Teams, but also Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and we'll be able to see those in action as well. All right, so let's go ahead and leave that meeting. All right, now let's go ahead and go to the chat. All right, now once the meeting is completed, so as you can see here, it's saving the recording. Now there's actually a recap tab at the top of that meeting. All right, and then in that recap, you'll be able to see here a breakdown of the meeting notes. You'll also be able to see when exactly your name was mentioned in that meeting. So as you can see here, it shows you specifically where Lee's name was mentioned. All right, now you can also see a transcript of that call. All right, now let's go ahead and select Copilot. Let's put Copilot in action again. All right, so as you can see here, it was able to provide different, questions that he could have asked in that meeting. All right, now let's say, for example, see here, select the one moment. Now let's say he wants to find out what decisions were made in that meeting. All right, so he will input that prompt right there, what decisions were made. Select send. All right, and then here you'll be able to see a list of different action items based on those decisions that were made during that meeting. All right, now let's say you want to be able to list the action items. You can select that prompt. All right, and as you can see here, it lists all the action items from that meeting. So what Lee will be able to do now is to go through and, based on these action items, brainstorm and whiteboard on possible solutions. His name is here. You'll be able to see any other action items for other persons in that meeting, such as Christy. And then he'll be also able to see action items for Diego. All right, so definitely with Copilot, it helps you to be able to recap an entire meeting. It also will be able to provide you with suggestions, provide you with action items based on that call, and just overall help you guys in being more effective in Teams meeting and be able to find information a lot quicker than if you were doing it on your own. All right, and that's how Copilot works in Teams meeting, and that will be the end of the demo today for Teams. All right, now we're going to take a look at another demo, and this is Copilot in Outlook. All right, now let's go ahead and see how Copilot works in Outlook. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the Outlook app on our taskbar. All right, now as you can see here, Lee has received an email from Grady Archie. All right, now let's say he wants to go ahead and reply to that email from Grady. Let's select reply. All right, now within that draft email, as you can see here, there are prompts here that Copilot has generated for you in order to draft an email. So let's say Lee would like to apologize and confirm review. He will select that prompt. And as you can see here, Copilot is creating a draft for him. All right, now let's say he reviews this email, because of course with Copilot, you can always review it, make changes if needed. But in this case, let's say Lee is happy with the response, so he's going to keep it. All right, now as you can see here, the email has been drafted in less than a minute. How is that even possible, right? If let's say, for example, you are even drafting an email, it may take you around 5 minutes or so versus Copilot. It's able to lessen your time in just a click of a button. All right, now let's go ahead and select send. All right, so that's an example of how Copilot helps you as it relates to responding to emails in Outlook. Now let's take a look at a next message. Let's review the recall on part D2250. All right, now as you guys can see here, this is a lengthy email thread. All right, now let's say Lee would like to get a summary of this email thread without actually having to go through all those emails. Let's select summary by Outlook, or by Copilot, I should say. All right, and as you can see here, it's pulling things together, creating a summary in Outlook. All right, and as you can see here, he now has a summary of the email with the names of the people and the citations to the points in the original email. Now, Copilot enables Lee to address and clear his inbox in minutes, not hours, by summarizing long messages and generating action items and replies, enabling him to stay productive. Now, let's say, for example, let's select this footnote 3, and as you can see here, it takes him directly to that email based on that summary. All right, now Lee needs to craft an email for his customers regarding the recall, based on this email. He wants to save time by drafting something quickly while ensuring that his email remains professional. All right, now let's go ahead and draft a new email. Let's select a new email. Now, Lee's afraid he won't cover all the information, so he uses Outlook to provide his customers an update on the recall. Copilot pulls from other emails or content across Microsoft 365. So if there's any Word document and a PowerPoint presentation, maybe a document in SharePoint, it's able to pull that information so that the based on what the user already has access to. So that's definitely a key point to keep in mind. Copilot pulls information from the data you have access to. And of course, Corey will be able to cover a bit more surrounding the security controls, but that's definitely an important and key feature of Copilot. Now with Copilot, it offers suggestions on clarity, sentiment, and tone, and it also provides overall messages, message assessment, and suggestions for improvement. Now, Lee can now create an impactful email communication to customers, leveraging coaching tips to hit just the right note. All right. Now, in the new in this new draft, we're going to go ahead and select draft with Copilot. Now it's going to ask, what do you want to do? So you go ahead and input your prompt here. So explain to customers that the recall of the derailleur part D22. So you basically will type in your prompt here. And if you guys are still not aware of how prompts really work, later on in the presentation, we'll share with you a very useful resource that can help you with prompts known as Copilot Lab. All right, so let's go ahead and use this prompt here. All right, now what we're gonna go ahead and do is take a look at the tone. So as you can see here, it also helps you to select the tone. So this is a formal tone. Let's say you'd like to make it a direct tone, a neutral tone, a casual tone, or make it a poem, right? Now it also helps you to select the length. So let's say you'd like to have a short email, a medium email, or a long email, then you can also select that length. Now in this case, we selected formal and long. Now let's go ahead and generate that email. All right, so as you guys can see, you're seeing Copilot live in action. As you can see here, it was able to draft that email based on that formal tone, as well as based on the length being long. All right, now let's say Lee has reviewed this and he is satisfied with the message, so he'll go ahead and keep it. All right. Now that's how you guys will be able to draft an email using Copilot using Copilot in Outlook. All right, now let's go ahead and select drafts to find the draft message to his assistant. All right, now key thing to know, once you have Copilot, a Copilot license assigned to you, you'll be able to access Copilot using the Copilot option right here. Let me see if I'll be able to, one moment.
Rachel,
Okay.
while you're looking for that, I wanted to add a little context here too. So
Of
as you
course.
can see, some of the drafts that had come up, given if you're looking at the context of this email from this demo in particular, there's a client-facing situation in which context really matters here. And one important thing to know about best practices of Copilot in general is that it is not an answer machine. It is meant to augment your abilities. It's meant to use context around how you want to address your current situation. So bear in mind that trust but verify is, of course, one of the best practices of using Copilot, so that you use this as a tool, but don't rely on it as a tool to do everything for you, because you don't want to be in a situation where maybe Copilot will generate something that maybe there's human understanding of what appropriate context and tonality is, and that still does fall to you as the user to make sure you're making those appropriate choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point, Corey. So yeah, so in a nutshell, Copilot works alongside you. So you, of course, are the pilot. So you would go ahead and give the prompts, you will go ahead and preview, and you will take that final action in making that response. All right, now let's say in this example, Lee went ahead and have an email here drafted. However, he wants to get recommendations for changes that can help to improve the tone, the reader sentiment, and clarity. All right, so what we're gonna do, here's the Copilot icon. So once you have a Copilot license, you have the Copilot icon embedded here in the Outlook app. All right, so you'd select Coaching by Copilot, and it's analyzing this email. All right, and as you can see here, Lee was able to work through his email messages in minutes, and it allows him to, be more productive by getting tips from Copilot without him having to go through and figure this out on his own. All right, so he was able to improve his customer messaging and email design, so he could focus on what matters most, which is serving his customers. All right, so as you can see here, these are some of the coaching tips that Copilot was able to provide. So Copilot not only helps you to draft email, but it also gives you recommendations and suggestions on how you can improve an email just based on the tone, based on the reader sentiment, and just overall by providing clarity when it comes to details. All right, and that will bring us to the end of the demo today for Copilot in Outlook. All right, I hope you guys are seeing everything in action and seeing how this tool can actually help you in being more productive in the workplace. All right, now we're going to take a look at Copilot in Word. So let's exit this demo and let's move to Copilot in Word.
And now that we're 2 demos in so far, one thing that I hope that everyone's seeing here is that this is akin to effectively giving everyone a personal assistant, an executive assistant. You're getting a lot of your time back, you're getting some coaching, you're getting some value, you're getting summaries, you're getting concise follow-up on some tasks you need. Just when you're looking at Copilot, you're trying to determine what's the value add for my organization, what's the value add for leveraging this personally. Really, what is your time worth is the question you should be asking when you're evaluating how much is Copilot directly impacting your business. And so far, looks like we're getting quite a lot just out of these 2 demos.
Yeah, absolutely. And just from personal experience as well, because I have been using Copilot in my everyday job. And when it comes to customers sending emails with questions, I'm able to use Copilot to get those answers for them quickly, draft emails a lot quicker. So just based on my experience, Copilot has helped me a lot in saving hours throughout my day and helping me to be more productive. Now, for those persons who use Word, let's say, for example, the marketing team, they're looking to draft, a blog, then we'll be able to see here now on how Copilot works in Word. All right, so let's select the Word app. All right, let's go ahead and select a blank document. All right, now as you can see here, the prompt will come up for you to draft with Copilot. So you input your prompt right there. All right, and then select generate. So in this case, we would like Copilot to draft a press release for us. All right, and as you guys can see here, in seconds, Copilot was able to create an initial draft for Lee and allow him to be able to make changes or modify it where needed. So let's say, for example, he would like to go ahead and, make some additional changes to the document. So he wants to make it formal. All right, so he inputs that prompt and then select generate. All right, and it's able to rewrite that draft based on his prompt to make it more professional. All right, now let's say he's satisfied with this, so he'll go ahead and keep it. Now, Lee has questions about his press release, but doesn't want to waste time combing through it to find an answer. Now, he can use Copilot to ensure important details are in place. All right, so let's go ahead and select the Copilot option in Word. So as you can see here, this is the Copilot option. So you select Copilot. All right, and let's see here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and have Copilot draft us a quick, or have us look for a quick information in that document. So let's ask Copilot about this doc. And all right, so as you can see here, this is the question: does the press release mention the recalled part name? All right, let's see if Copilot is able to find that information based on this document. All right, and as you can see here, according to the document, yes, the press release does mention the recalled part name, and it even tells you the recalled part name. All right, so that's how Copilot works in Word. All right. All right, so let's close Copilot. Now, Copilot can also provide inspiration on where to go next if you get stuck. Now, let's see what Copilot suggests adding to Lee's press release. All right, so let's go ahead and scroll down and let's select the Copilot icon. All right, now Lee wants to be inspired. So let's Copilot inspire me. All right, and as you can see here, Copilot was able to add suggestions of frequently asked questions, which, as we know, this is definitely a very beneficial suggestion, because there are times where persons will have questions, and having this in place will help them to address those questions real time. All right, so let's keep it. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down. Now, Lee needs to hire a new mechanic for his bike shop to repair recalled bikes once the parts come in. He has a job description in another document that he wants to use as reference for a hiring document. He wants to get the hiring document out right away so he can start vetting. He already has his hands full with the recall and can't spend too much time prepping a hiring document. Now, Lee has a job description ready, but isn't sure how to turn it into a hiring document. Now, we're going to see how Copilot can expand on his existing document to extract relevant information without having to sort through it himself. All right, so let's select File. So we're basically going to be creating a new document by referencing another file. So let's select Reference File. So let's say he would like to reference this document. All right. All right, so based on this document, he wants to create a hiring document for a new hire. Let's select Generate. And as you can see here, within seconds, just based on another document, Copilot was able to generate that for him. All right, now let's say he would like to make a few changes to that document. He wants to make the intro more casual. All right, so he inputs that prompt, select Generate. All right, and then it was able to make that hiring document more professional, more casual for him with that new hire. Now let's keep it. All right, now as we scroll down, so now we're going to select the Copilot option, and we're going to have Copilot rewrite it for us. So as you can see here, Copilot is rewriting this specific paragraph, and let's replace it with that new rewrite. That rewrite spiel that Copilot has provided. All right, and as you can see here, the document is fully ready to send off to that new hire, and it was created, Lee was able to create it in less than a minute. All right, so that's how Copilot works in Microsoft Word. All right, and that will bring us to the end of Copilot in Microsoft Word. All right, now we're gonna just a few more, because of course I wanted to demo how Copilot works in the core apps that we use on a daily basis. All right, so Word is one, so let's close out this one. We're going to move on how Copilot works in Excel, because a lot of us right now use Excel. So I want to show you guys how Copilot works in that. All right, now in this situation, Lee has some product and sales data on a sales performance Excel sheet. Now, Copilot works best when data is in a table format. All right, so Lee converts the raw data set to a table in a snap. Let's see how that works in action. So let's select Excel. All right, and let's select Copilot. All right, now let's go ahead and select Convert. All right, now with the data in the table format, Copilot offers a number of options. There are 4 core Excel prompt types. There is add, formula columns, highlight, sort and filter, and analyze. Now, Copilot also offers specific suggestions based on the data in the spreadsheet. Now, Lee can use natural language to ask Copilot to accomplish tasks. He also has prompt starters. Now, Lee starts with some very simple highlighting. All right, so let's go ahead and select highlight. All right, so as you can see here, it was able to highlight, what exactly are certain portions in the document. Now he needs to understand the impact of this recall on his financial. So he'll be able to take Copilot's suggestion and bold the top 10 quantity sold values for the year to date. So let's select bold the top 10 values in year to date quantity sold. All right, now Copilot applied conditional formatting, a feature that has been around in Excel for a while, but might be intimidating to people, such as myself. So let's do a little more on that front and ask Copilot with natural language to highlight the top 10% of sellers with yellow. All right, now let's go ahead and select this prompt icon right there. All right, we're going to select highlight data. All right, so we're going to ask Copilot to highlight top 10 sold in yellow. All right, and as you guys can see here, the highlight took effect real time. All right, now again, highlighting is a feature power users might know how to use, but Copilot makes it accessible to everyone. The bolding and the yellow are both conditional formatting. Now in the Excel ribbon, we're going to go ahead and select conditional formatting right at the top here. All right, now Lee can still access the underlying formulas Copilot uses to complete tasks. So let's select manage rules. All right, and as you can see here, you can see the rules here. So let's select close. All right, now Copilot provides Lee access to functions and Excel features he may have overlooked before because of the complexity. He can ask questions in his own words and think faster than before. Now let's see how Copilot can help expand the data with a formula. Most of us have a few formulas we know and love, but may overwhelm us. All right, so let's go ahead and select the Copilot prompt icon and let's select add a formula column. All right, so we're going to add a formula column for total profits, and this is by IGE. All right, so as you can see here, it's generating it. All right, now what's great about this is that Copilot automatically analyzes the data, generates the needed formula, and then explains the calculation. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to have Copilot explain the formula for us. So as you can see here, Copilot was able to explain that formula. All right, now Lee's final analysis is to identify total profit for each derailleur type to identify how the D2250 delay impacts overall profits. So let's insert a column. So as you can see here, it was able to insert a column for him. All right, now let's go ahead and ask Copilot what is the total profit based on derailleur type. All right, let's select send. And it's analyzing that data, all right, and thus add it to the sheet. And as you can see here, Copilot just created a pivot table, one of the most daunting Excel features. And Lee can see that the D2250, which is this here, it impacts 312,000 of profit for his small business. That quickly, Lee used simple language queries to have Copilot create formulas to identify the top product sellers in his company. Then, with the limited effort, created a pivot table showing the D2250 parts impact on his small business. He has decided he definitely needs to hire a new employee to help him through this time. All right, and that will bring us to the end of how Copilot works in Excel. All right, and I'm going to actually hand over to Corey now, just to explain a bit more on how the security and compliance piece works. So thank you all so much for watching, and let's go ahead and have Corey take the next few slides. All right, so as you can see here, these are some videos as well that you guys can watch once we send over that demo. And of course, once we send over this presentation to you all. So Corey, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Great job, Rachel. And thank you everyone for joining today. So I hope everyone gets really excited in watching what we just covered, because I mean, especially that last section around Excel, just think how much time that saved and what data-driven insights are available to you using native language. The term is actually natural language processing, which takes communicating human, just human nature and turning it into something the machine can understand and giving it back to you in terms that you can understand, as well as generating those prompts and columns and everything you needed to do in Excel there, and how it turned into value right away, and also helped you understand what it was doing as well. So it's a great learning opportunity. I could talk about this stuff all day. I get really excited about what the opportunity is,
Microsoft.
and I hope that's becoming apparent. Actually, Rachel, if you could, can you, I wanted to actually, I put this video in here. I wanted everyone to kind of just go through it. It's about 1 minute long. It will actually kind of talk about and set the stage for what I want to discuss with this.
Awesome. Gotcha. Thank you.
Microsoft 365 Copilot works with the data security controls you have in place for file access, labeling, classification, and data loss prevention. Mario Rogers works for Violet Martinez, and both are on the same team at Contoso. Mario and Violet are also members in the same group working on Project Falcon. Now we'll start with Violet, who's been working with the procurement and contract management teams to sell their partner ReliCloud 1,500 Mark 8 quadcopters. And you can see the file is labeled highly confidential with restricted access, and it describes all the terms in the purchase agreement. Because Violet has access to the file, she's able to search for and find it in SharePoint and Microsoft365.com. And of course, Violet can also navigate to the file's location in the Agreements folder of the project site to find the purchase agreement. So now let's look at Mario's experience. Even though he's on the same team and working on Project Falcon with Violet, if Mario tries to search for the Contoso purchase agreement, he won't find it. And there are a few purchasing documents that he does find without sensitive information, but not the one that Violet's working on. And if Mario knows the location of the purchase agreement and tries to navigate to it directly, it just appears as an empty folder to him. And when Mario launches Word on the web and creates a blank document, then prompts Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the Contoso purchase agreement as a reference file, because Microsoft 365 Copilot respects the file permissions of its user, Copilot also cannot access the purchase agreement. Now if we switch back to Violet's screen, because she has permission to access the purchase agreement, she can use Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the file. And after a moment, you'll see it created a summary of the purchase agreement, and Violet decides to keep it. Then data security controls for Microsoft Purview discover sensitive information found in the Microsoft 365 Copilot generated content. The document is automatically labeled as highly confidential, and policies are enforced to restrict access to the document.
Alrighty, big shout out to Jeremy Chapman at Microsoft, one of our friends who does a lot of tech videos there. So he was the voiceover for that content. So let's go to the next slide if we could. The reason I wanted everyone to see that video and that demo is because one of the top questions we get probably daily is, okay, we see Copilot, we know what we can do with it, we understand the value. Where do we get started, and is it safe, right? There's a lot of questions around exfiltration of data. There's a lot of concern around what are we going to do if that data gets out? How do we stop it from happening? Are we ready? And the answer is typically always going to be around Copilot readiness and governance. So some of what was just covered in that video, you've seen that example of the second employee not having access to things. This is just called access-based enumeration. And I'll stay as high level as I can and not get too far into the engineering aspects of it. But suffice to say, an environment that's set up properly with certain security controls like what you're seeing on the screen will help ensure that data can only go so far as the user is able to. So now think about your environments and imagine what users may have access to something you shared once upon a time just because you're in a hurry and you're trying to get something moving. Oh, Joe employee or Jane Doe needs to get access to this and I'm in a hurry and maybe here's the folder, go forth. Well, the issue with a lot of that is those share links, depending on how you set up, if you've been configured at all, can be in perpetuity. They can be out there for a while. So that means that Copilot leverages your user identity, your user account, your Microsoft account, your company's account, your login essentially. So any access permissions that you as user have access to, so too does Copilot. What you don't have access to, it cannot go any further either, right? So what this does is it begs the question around how safe and secure is your environment in terms of being ready for Copilot, because as you can see, some data whether, HR, accounting, finance, things like that could be a little more sensitive. It's important to understand who has access to what, and generally auditing your environment is good practice in general. Governance has historically not exactly been a priority for a lot of organizations, and I think AI is sort of forcing the issue. So let's come back to the slides and talk about where these security controls begin at. It should come as no surprise that obviously the more you spend with Microsoft, the more you get. All right, so we're looking at security controls that are linked to, for example, Microsoft 365 Business Basic or Business Standard, come with some basic controls that are out of the box. Multi-factor authentication is part of every subscription as a security control. Device-based access and security controls for M365 resources, and content and keyword search for Copilot generated data. Now, if you move over and up to something with Microsoft 365 Business Premium that has something like Entra ID P1, I believe. So you get other access, like you get other things such as conditional access. And again, we won't dive too much into this, but these are additional security measures to help ensure that no data is being exfiltrated from your environment based on simple, if I had to make an analogy, I would call it leaks in a ship. These are more patches to ensure that that's not a situation you have to deal with. Let's go ahead and head to the next slide, please. So there's papers out there on this, and I'll put it in the chat as well about and I'm going to take some liberties to speak from Microsoft about what their AI principles are. So Microsoft believes the development and deployment of AI should be guided by an ethical framework. And to that end, there's 6 core principles that should guide the work around AI. 4 core principles of fairness, reliability, safety, privacy, security, and inclusiveness, underpinned by 2 foundational principles of transparency and accountability. I think someone did the math on that one wrong because that sounded like 6 to me. The first principle being fairness. For AI, this means that all AI systems should treat everyone fairly and avoid affecting similarly situated groups of people in different ways. The second principle is reliability and safety. To build trust, it's also important that AI systems operate reliably, safely, consistently under normal circumstances and unexpected conditions. It's also crucial to develop AI systems that can protect private information and resist attacks. And it's important to improve intelligibility that requires stakeholders to comprehend how and why AI systems function so they can identify potential performance issues, safety, privacy concerns, biases, exclusionary practices, and unintended outcomes. Yes, I am reading from a card because there's a lot here. But essentially, what this comes down to a lot is that AI, Microsoft's stance to AI is that it needs to be transparent. It needs to have core values of everything that's being listed here. And then ultimately, your data is your data. That means that it's yours to own and control, and it's yours to leverage and monetize however you want. Your data, hey, what it's not though, it's not used to train or enrich the foundational AI models. That's kind of an important statement for everyone to be aware of. What that means is there's a lot of concern of, let's move all of our data to Microsoft or whatever your hyperscale or your data state is. But the reality is, it's been a question since the beginning of cloud. Do I own my data? Who has access to it and where? These are things, and again, I'll link some additional documentation from Microsoft that talks about it. Your data is effectively in its own little enclave, and it's not being used in terms of AI training. You've heard some stories about that, probably about ChatGPT and others who, if you're using it outside the bounds of your organization, that may be used to train and enrich data going forward. The guardrails that are in place with Microsoft Cloud, you really don't have to worry about that. So keep in mind, one thing you hear a lot is that Microsoft's Copilot respects the boundaries of your enterprise. What that means is those security controls that we listed on the previous slide, that means that as you leverage this tool, it can go no further than the boundaries that you implement. So when we talk about governance and best practices for adoption, just bear in mind that your security posture is only as good as what you invest into it to that point. So if you have any questions on this, governance, et cetera, reach out to us at Opkalla, reach out to your existing partners, reach out to your IT staff, and start having those conversations around what are we doing to make sure that our data is protected. Next slide, please. All right, let's go on, keep going. So when we talk about AI, we talk about Copilot, and frankly, when we talk about any new technology within your estate, the important questions are, what problem are we solving? What is the value to the business? You have to understand a new technology is fantastic, but what value are we actually getting out of this? So start by asking some introspective questions. What are your goals for using AI within your organization? What are your organization's pain points that AI can address? What are your organization's current capabilities in terms of AI? does your organization have a data strategy in place? That one is very, very important, because if anyone on the call is familiar with Power BI, that sort of introduced us to the era of interact with your data, visualize your data, work with your data. Copilot, I believe, is a little bit more around chat with your data. It gives it to you in a term that you can leverage and understand in natural language. And what can you do with that data? It's a lot. We find that there's a ton of opportunity to be had just living within your existing Microsoft Cloud estate, where you can take that data that might otherwise be disparate and not relevant. When you put the context of the Graph API and Copilot around it, suddenly you've got value that may not have been aware of before. And then lastly, does your organization have the necessary infrastructure and resources to support AI initiatives? Sometimes it's a matter of, do we need to skill up internally? Do we need to partner with an organization? These are questions that are very helpful to ask when you're looking to evaluate Copilot. Let's go on to the next one, please. So what can you do as a step to coming out of this call? If you're looking at Copilot, these are some things you can do. Introduce employees to secure generative AI with Copilot, commercial data protection, which is the security controls we talked about to prepare them for the future workplace. Standardize onto Microsoft 365. So your data is only as good as you can access it, right? So if you've got data living in file share somewhere else, or maybe using Box or OneDrive or Drive or something that's outside the Microsoft ecosystem, it's not going to be very valuable to you if you can't plug Copilot into it. So there are solutions in which you can have that data moved into SharePoint document libraries, OneDrive, et cetera, and start leveraging that data, but it does have to live within the Microsoft ecosystem for you to get the value out of it. And then very, very important, we've talked about this several times now, but organize your sensitive business data. This comes down to governance. This comes down to risk-based controls. This comes down to data classification. These are all things you can do with your existing Microsoft licensing to a degree. It's just a matter of what licensing level you have. If your organization is leveraging something like Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you're already off to a good start. In classic kind of good, better, best form, E3 would be a better step up, and then E5 is going to give you everything you need to make sure you're fully taken care of. But as with all things, balance is key. Sometimes if you're a smaller shop, E5 might be overkill for you. So there's some questions around licensing and what's a good fit for you and what you can do within the security controls that are available to you. So if there's any questions you have about your existing licensing and how it pertains to what you can do, feel free to reach out to us as your licensing specialist. We can help with that as well. And my favorite part, we have one question I can speak to, but if anyone wants to jump in, unmute, drop a question in chat, we have Q&A here at the end of this. We've got, we're already cleared 53 minutes of this call, which is incredible. So let's, if anyone has any questions, let's go ahead and get to it.
I did see a question in the chat from Chance Perry. He wanted to understand if that there, he understands that there's a free version and premium version of Copilot. How do we upgrade to premium Copilot? What are the benefits over the free version? All right,
absolutely. So oh, you want to go ahead, Rachel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
All right, so for Copilot, you have different versions of Copilot. So of course you have the free version. Once you have an Entra ID. However, for it's actually Copilot Pro. For Copilot Pro, this is actually for personal subscription. So if you do have a personal Microsoft 365 subscription, then you can purchase Copilot Pro, and it works just the same as Copilot for Microsoft 365, where it integrates with the different Microsoft 365 apps like Word, Outlook, Teams, OneNote. However, Copilot for Microsoft 365, that's the subscription for business. So if you do have a personal subscription, then you can purchase the Copilot Pro. I believe it's $20 at retail cost per user, but you can always sign up for a free trial. And then once you're ready to leverage Copilot for business, then that's where you can get the Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is it's $30 at retail cost per month, but it's available on an annual billed upfront. Or annual billed monthly subscription. So depending on which term you prefer to use, then of course that will determine the cost. All right.
Yeah.
So that answers your question, Chance. And thanks for that.
Absolutely. And one thing, I put a slide in chat, but if anyone, I don't know if you can pull it up or if anyone can just see it, but there's a key difference here that comes down to, if you look at the bottom, there's two pieces I want everyone to call everyone's attention to about what the differences are between Copilot Free or Pro versus Copilot for Microsoft 365. There's a line here about graph grounding, and then there's enterprise grade data protection. So on the heels of security, I'll talk about enterprise grade data protection first. What that means is that those security controls we had talked about, those are things where Copilot will go no further. So when we do talk about data classification, sensitivity labels, conditional access, things you can do to make sure that, just as a hypothetical, if you're not familiar with some of those terms, maybe you want to make sure that a device that is marked as compliant can only access certain data. That's something you can do with enterprise grade data protection. That's something you have to configure and set up in your environment. But that's the difference between something like that versus Copilot Free or Pro, which does not have those technologies around it as guardrails. So keep that in mind if you're looking to use it as a organizational tool. The other piece is important is Microsoft Graph Grounding. So graph grounding means, really grounding is another way of saying context. So Microsoft Graph is an API that basically runs and is sort of the back end of all the data that ties into Microsoft 365. So what it does is it helps give you context. Now you can think like a search engine. You can go to Google and you can say, where are my files? You're not going to get anything because it has no idea what you're talking about. But with Graph, what that grounding does is it knows the context. It knows who you are. It knows what data you have access to, and it knows where to look within the context of M365. That's what grounding is. And that's something you'll get as a benefit of Copilot for 365 is it understands the context within your organization as to files, shares, relationships, just general things like that. So it's important to know as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. I did see another question come in. When will Copilot be available on a monthly billing option? So great news. Copilot is now available. Well, it started December 1st, where Microsoft had rolled out the monthly billing option for annual subscriptions for Copilot. However, though, it is priced 5% higher than the annual billed upfront subscription. So if you would like to purchase it on that monthly option, then of course you'd pay 5% more than what you'd pay for the annual billed upfront. Chance wanted to know if that's a cost per person. So with it being on an annual, billed month, if it's annual billed monthly, then of course it will be 5% higher. So it's $30, but at retail cost, but it will be 5% higher. If you decide to pay for it on an annual billed upfront, then it will be $360 for the year at retail costs. Feel free to reach out to Opkalla if you're so that you guys can get some additional discounts. But at the moment, as it relates to discount, there is a 15% off Copilot license. And it's a promotion that's still going on up until December 31st. So you can purchase new Copilot SKUs. And the minimum quantity is 10. So it's between 10 to 300. So if you're purchasing at least 10, and it's a new Copilot subscription, let's say you don't have Copilot before, this is your first time purchasing it, then you'll be able to take advantage of that 15% discount. All right.
Now, Rachel, because we have some more questions coming in around minimums, that's a minimum of 10 for the discount. But if there's okay, so one of the questions here was around, is there a minimum user count? I want to take a minute and talk about this too, because this has really happened extremely quickly. I remember being at Microsoft Ignite 2 years ago, actually last year. And the news that was coming out around Copilot was just fast and furious, and it obviously hasn't slowed down. But when Copilot came out, what feels like, I think it was just about a year and a half ago now, the rate of adoption skyrocketed. And when it first was released, it was only available to enterprise. It was only available to a seat count of 300 as a minimum. And you had to meet some pretty high criteria. In the space of the past, year and a half, it's gotten down to a place now where the individual, an organization, you can have a single seat. You just need some prerequisites. It could be something like Microsoft 365 Business Basic, Business Premium, or any one of those kind of smaller SKUs, and still leverage Copilot. But coming back to it, the value you get will, of course, increase, and the security controls you get will increase with your corresponding subscription as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. So for the additional questions in the chat, we'll go ahead and respond to those there. But we're going to go, because based on timing, I just wanted to share with you some final steps on how you guys can get started. So if you guys would like assistance with implementing Copilot, we do have a free 90-minute Copilot for Microsoft 365 workshop. This is an offer that we have published on the marketplace. So feel free to go to our offer and contact us so that we could get that workshop started. Now, as a thank you for taking a meeting with us, we will be sending you guys a branded hat. So if you guys would like to, be swagged out, just go ahead and reach out to us by filling out this form, and then we'll be able to schedule a meeting and then provide you guys with that branded hat. Now, if you would like to learn more about Copilot, we do have a blog as well that we have published on our website. So feel free to take a look at that blog. When it comes to the security, privacy, and compliance piece, we do have some additional resources here that you guys can delve into. And then if you would like to get better acquainted when it comes to the art of prompting, then there is also Copilot Lab. So feel free to take a look at those resources once you guys have the time. All right, and I'll hand over to Tommy to close out.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, again, we want to thank you all for joining us today, taking time to learn more about Copilot and how it can support you. To get started or to dive into more detail, as Rachel mentioned, there's multiple ways to get in touch with us. I've also dropped my contact information in the chat, so please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always available. Email me, call me, text me with any of your questions, one-off questions, or if you want to set some time to dive into more detail with the team, we'd be happy to do so. Again, thank you so much. We look forward to working with you all soon. Have a great day.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
For joining. Bye-bye.